hit live. That's like perfect timing. Like exactly on the second, on the minute. Hello, can you guys hear me in the chat? I can actually see you guys in the chat. Hi, Jose. Hi, Tiago. Hi, Reggie. Hi, Magda. Look at all you guys are already in here. You're so good. I'm just gonna say hello there. Hello there. Give me a shout out in the chat if you guys can hear me and see me. Yay, thank you. Magda's always on it. Thank you times 1 million. Okay, great. So today I have, I'm dialing it in. I'm narrowing it down. Whenever I do these things, I know it's very blast last, but it's like terrifying to start anything new for those of us that are blast last. So obviously live on YouTube is terrifying. But I tell myself, I give myself 10 rounds, right? So this is, what is this? 3? Feminine sensory, one of those times, right? So the thing that I'm going to do this time is I'm going to be writing a lot of notes. So I'll basically be giving you the sensor. I'll be giving you the details of what he is saying at this time, but I won't necessarily give you the conclusions on it. But I'm going to be giving you the conclusions based on one thing. And let's start just starting with Feynman, right? Here's what I would say. He is the type that you would think he is. So a lot of times you're like, what the heck type is this guy? Like, this is they're in this field of work, but they feel like this. It feels like very crossed. I am not sure what on earth this person's type is. He is exactly what type you would imagine him to be. So hopefully you went straight for that. Like, he has his saviors. He does his saviors, or he did his saviors for a living. So I would just say there's my ginormous hint. So yeah, he is stereotypically what you would assume him to be. So I'll start that off with that. But the point that I'm going to go after today, or the binary coin that I'm going to go after today, is going to be masculine sensory versus feminine sensory. Why? Because I feel like his parts are going to be so unbearably easy that I'm going to have to be like holding back. So I think that that's what is going to kind of happen today. I'm going to have to just be like weird and play dumb. I'm going to play energy, play dumb today, because I'm just going to be like, he's just spelling it out. So I'm going to go off of just, masculine sensory versus feminine sensory. That's going to be the thing that I'm going to attempt. Hi, everybody. I see you guys in the chat here. This is really cool. I'm going to actually be able to put your questions up. I was practicing last time. Okay, let's see. Jeffrey's got a question here. Just wanted to get a hint on the DE modality. Oh, okay. Well, I wasn't going to go over that one today, but I will lean. I'll see if I can lean. It seems like, let's go with Dawson here. Seems like he deserves to be in science. Yes. Absolutely. Science and him go together super, super well. So yes, it's not going to be, let's see, Jose. I'm sorry, Jose. I'm going to try. I'm really going to try. Let's see. Jose says, just don't answer people's guesses. I know. I'm going to try. But this is only take 3. So give me till take 10 till I've really dialed this in, because I don't want to mess up your guys' things there. But yeah. Let's see. All right. So you would love to know observer versus decider. Okay. You can hint at that. Maybe I give a warning. Okay, so that might be something I try as well. See, I'm just TESing. Let's attempt that. I could be like, okay, warning. I will give you a hint here. But maybe we can do that in the after class once we're on the membership side, so it's not too much chaos, right? Okay, let's see. How do I hide that? Okay, getting started. Let's get into it. Masculine versus feminine sensory. We're going to watch a clip of him today. This is one that we got recommended from the class. It was definitely the first one I found. He doesn't have a ton of videos because it's an older person to type. So this one is really great. It spells out his functions. I think I have one other one that was like unbearably obvious what his type is. It was in black and white, and he was doing some kind of class. He was like teaching some kind of class on science. So that one is in the playlist on the members site. If you want to look that one up as well, where he's just up there teaching about, what was it? The scientific method. That one, just, if you watch that one, you will get his type. It's very, very obvious. But this is one that, like, yeah, it's a whole hour of him talking. So you're going to get it here too. Let's do about 10 minutes, just like last time. We're going to be here for 30 minutes live on YouTube. And then I'll meet you over on the website afterwards. And let's get started. Okay. Hitting play now.
Stuff of fantasizing and looking at the world.
Let me back it up. Back it up.
This stuff of fantasizing and looking at the world, imagining
Imagining.
things.
Imagining.
Fantasizing because you're only trying to imagine the way it really is.
Imagining.
Comes in handy sometimes. The other day I was at the dentist and he's getting ready with his electric drill to make holes. And I thought I better think of something fast or else it's going to hurt.
Think of something
I thought
fast.
about this little motor going around. And what was it that made it turn?
What? How
and
does
what was
it
going
work?
on? And what's going on is there's a dam some distance away here, and water going over the dam turns.
Okay, we're now talking about a dam.
Wheel, right?
Turns.
And this wheel is connected with long, thin pieces of copper, which split up into other pieces of copper and split up and spread all over the
It's
city.
going to be hard to not spell it out.
And then they're connected back through another little gadget that makes wheels turn. All the wheels of the city are turning because this thing
wheels
turns.
turning.
If this thing stops, all the wheels stop. It starts again. They all start again. And I think that's kind of a marvelous thing of nature. It's extremely curious. That phenomenon, I like to think about a lot. Because
phenomenon, I like to think about.
Copper and iron. See, sometimes we think it's a man-made generator. It's very complicated. The phenomenon is a result of some special something that we made.
Phenomenon.
But it's nature doing it. And it's just iron and copper. And if you took a big long loop of copper and had iron at each end and moved the piece of iron, the other iron moves to the other piece. And if you get it down to the nothing, just moving a piece of iron in a loop of copper and seeing another piece of iron move, you realize what a fantastic mystery
the
nature is.
Parts.
You don't even need the iron. You could, if you at least get this pump primed and started, by jiggling copper strands around fast enough, knotting them and unknotting them and so forth. You can get up.
All right, I'm going to pause there for just a minute. Jiggling. This is a scientific term. Jiggling. Okay. All right, so for those of you that have been in the class for a while, you know that we have had a lot of talk about masculine versus feminine functions. And the ones that are masculine seems to yank and pull you, right? So there's a lot of that going on. Jiggling is definitely my kind of science. Yes, jiggling, it is a technical term, yes. So the thing that you have to see is what is getting masculine here. So let's do some defining of terms, right? So feminine, the feminine, especially when we're talking about feminine sensory likes to be moved. It likes to be moved, or it fears getting moved because it does move, right? And that's one of the things where it's like scared of something that is aggressive onto it, or it's like, yay. And like one of the things that you'll notice from the double feminine, it's very anecdotal. It is not something that is, you can't take it to the bank when you're taking these patterns and typing, but there are many, many, many double feminines that like to go to concerts. So that is absolutely anecdotal. Don't take it to the bank. But why, right? Understand why. It's the music, the environment, everything being moved, right? So they like that movement, like being moved. They could feel it. And it's probably very intense with the double feminine, right? You're getting your sensory moved and you're getting moved by the people around you. So that whole experience becomes kind of all immersive, right? When you think about those that understand masculine sensory, the thing that you could use as far as an analogy is it feels a little bit more like I think I've heard some of the masculine sensors talk about it this way. Like think about cavemen back in the day or when they were hunting buffalo, right? You're taking a spear and you're throwing that spear. You need to be able to watch on a timeline, like the physical universe. You need to be able to see on a timeline that this buffalo is heading at a certain speed, right? It's heading at a certain speed. It's going to meet your spear at a certain point in time. You're going to have to hit that thing on a timer. So you need to know, how heavy is the spear? How hard can I throw that? How fast is that buffalo moving? How heavy is that buffalo, right? You need to know, can this thing move at this pace so that I can hit that thing moving at this pace? So it's understanding how things are smashing together, clashing together, the weight of something, and that's how it sort of feels its way around. That's how it's understanding the movement of something. That it's just basically that is how the masculine function would work when you're talking about the physical universe. And that's sort of the purpose behind it, understanding that purpose behind it. So when he talks about all this stuff, one thing that you're going to want to look for is if he is speaking out his modality, is he going to be talking about stuff that he is visualizing, right? Now we know a lot of people that have visuals that talk about visuals that you're going to even see me do it. Watch. I just said it right now. You're going to see me. You're going to watch and see me do it right now. Why am I using that kind of language? I'm using that kind of language because inside my mind, things are seen, things are watched, right? And you're going to even see me a lot of times go, hold on, let me search for the information inside of some visual world inside my mind. That's going to happen a lot. And of course, it slows me down because speaking is harder to jump from visualizing and thinking in my head to speaking, right? So the kinesthetics that you want to watch for is they will do a lot of sound. They will do a lot of movement things. They will show you how things smash together. That's how they're going to communicate. So let's listen again for how he is communicating. Jiggling. There's a hint.
Get other copper strands to move at the other end of
Move.
the long connection. And what is it? It's only copper.
Copper.
And motion.
Motion.
And we're so used to circumstances in which these electrical phenomena are all canceled out. Everything's sort of neutral. Pushing and pulling is really very dull.
Pushing, pulling.
But nature has these wonderful things, magnetic forces and electrical forces. You comb your hair.
Magnetic
with your comb, and
forces.
you get some strange condition. So you put it in front of a piece of paper and it lifts up the paper where the paper jiggles at a distance, far away.
Paper jiggles at a
And that,
distance, far
in
away.
fact, it turns out that that is the thing that's more deeper inside of everything than the things we're used to. We're used to forces that only act directly, right? You push with your finger, it only acts directly. But then you have to imagine what it is that's pushing that finger. Here's this little finger's made out of little balls and atoms. And it's got another bunch of atoms that I'm pushing. And there's a little space between those atoms. And this pushing is going through that space. And the only thing that happens with the comb and the paper is that circumstances have arisen, which make it possible to see that these forces go through a bigger distance than just the short distance between the atoms.
Please tell me
What it is they have,
how it
they have
works.
charges like electrons that are both the same. They repel each other with a force. They're little tiny particles. They're a piece of the atom, and they repel each other with a force which is enormous. It's inversely as the square of the distance, just like gravity is inversely as the square of the distance, but gravity is attractive, and this is repulsive. And for two electrons, the gravity is so weak compared to the electricity. Electricity is so much more enormous than the gravity. I can't express it because I don't know the name of the number. It's 1 with 30 or 8
I don't
and
know
40
the name
zeros
of the
after
number.
1. Bigger is electricity. It's so enormous that if I were all electrons, well, the numbers are too big. So
numbers are too big.
If there's also, however, for electrical things, other kind of charge, positive charges. Example of protons are positive. They're inside the nucleus of the atom, and they attract electrons. Opposite charges attract them. Like charges repel. So you have to imagine enormous forces where likes are trying to get away from likes, and unlikes are trying to get near the opposite. What would happen if you had a lot of them? There'd be all the likes would collect with unlikes. They attract each other, and they get an intimate mixture of pluses and minuses, all on top of each other, very close together. You wouldn't have a lot of pluses anywhere because they repel each other. They'll all be compensated by minuses very close.
Okay, so I am going to give you a hint. So feel free to jump out right now, jump out right now, jump out right now if you do not want a second hint. I am going to give you a hint because it is so unbearably, it's like the only thing he's talking about. So I'm going to give you a hint because it's like if you don't know the categorical thing that he's entirely talking about, you're like, what is this conversation about, right? Like, of course, you can get sucked into, we're talking about atoms. Okay, we're talking about how atoms work together. We're talking about the magnetic forces. We're talking about how all that stuff. Great. All the sensory is amazing. Sensory is fascinating as well. You might get pulled in, right? So I'm going to give you a hint, and then I'll let you know when we get back. Maybe I'll leave a note. I'll leave a note in the comment section here. All right, so let's talk about this. So in a lot of the classes lately, I have been saying things like, is this a value statement? Is he giving value statements? Is he telling me how much he likes these atoms and how valuable they are to the tribe? Is he sharing why this matters? Why does it matter? Or is he telling me how they work? Is he showing me how they function together? Okay, let's just keep going. There's my hint. Okay, let me say, I am now done with my hint. I am now done with my hint. There you go. I'm trying. It's just coming out, a lot of it. Okay, let's keep going.
Very close. And you get these little knots of plus and minus. The reason that the knots don't get smaller and smaller is because there are particles, and it's got quantum mechanical effects that we won't discuss that makes it that you can't get any smaller than a certain size. And so you get these little lumps, which are balls. They're the atoms. The atoms have positive and negative charge, and they're neutralized. They cancel their charge as nearly as they can. And because of this force is so big, it ends up nowhere with very little left. Because it's so big, it cancels out. There's always so exactly the same pluses and minuses in any normal material. When you comb your hair, it loves just a little bit extra, or just a few extra minuses, say, here, and somewhere else a few extra pluses. But the forces are so big, there's just the extra ones, which make a force that we can see that seems to be at a long range.
We're now talking about hair?
Mysterious, and that we need an explanation for.
No more.
And we try to find an explanation for it in terms of ideas like the forces that are inside of rubber bands or steel bars or twisted things. We like to have some kind of puller at a distance because we're used to it, that we don't get any push until we're touching. But the fact is that the reason we don't get any push until we're touching is it's the same force as you see at a long distance, only it's come down to short because the pluses and minuses are canceled out so well that you don't feel anything until it gets very, very close. When it gets close enough, of course, it makes a difference which is plus and which is minus and where they are, and they repel each other. So it's kind of fun to imagine this intimate mixture of highly attractive opposites, which are so strong that they cancel out the effects. And it's only sometimes when you have an excess of one kind and another that you get this mysterious electrical force.
Mysterious.
And how can I explain a mysterious electrical force in any other way? Why should I try to explain it in terms of of something like jelly or other things which are made? And I understand the other way around in terms of strong long-distance forces which have all canceled out. So it's the electrical forces, in fact, and the magnetic forces, in fact, that we have to accept as the base reality in which we're going to explain all the other things.
Okay.
So again, it turns out it's hard to understand. You have to do a lot of imagining.
You got to do a lot of imagining.
Has as its base a force which acts at a long distance, that we haven't got much experience with that force. We have a peculiar phenomena here and there. But ordinarily, we don't have much experience with that force is simply because that's what requires explanation. That's what requires imagination.
Yes.
The long distance force we have no other picture for.
Imagination.
And in the example of the...
Does he look drained by that?
Generator, for instance. What happens is that the electrons, which are a part of an atom, they're pushed by the motion of the copper wires.
Pushed by motion.
And it's wonderful to think that you push a few here and they get too close together, so they push the others because they repel at a long distance. So it's not just like water, which repels at a short distance, but it's a wonderful fluid which repels at a long distance. And the effects, therefore, can go very quickly through the wire. If there's a little concentration, it goes zing through the wire all over the city at once.
Zing!
And electrical, you can use that stuff to make signals. You can push a few electrons here and there by talking in a telephone at the other end of the line. A long line of copper across the city. The electrons respond because of this very rapid interactions over these long distances to what you're saying in this room. And if they've discovered experimentally the existence of these long forces and these rapid motion actions and so forth.
How were they discovered?
It was a tremendous thing for human beings. I think that the discovery of electricity and magnetism and the electromagnetic effects, which were finally worked out, the full equations for everything was worked out by Maxwell in 1873, is probably the most fundamental transformation of the most remarkable thing in history, the biggest
remarkable thing in history, biggest change in history. Okay, don't you just love him? Can I write that down? Let's see. The most remarkable thing in history. I love it. Okay, so there you go. Let's maybe talk about some of these points. Let's go back to some of these questions. He's an ISFJ. Boom, solved it. You win. Great job. Yes. Okay. So I think what I can do is I can start from the top, even though we've gone quite a bit here. Let's start from the top, go through it really quickly. I know I could listen to them all day too later, Gates, for sure. I definitely love this kind of stuff. Now this is along the lines of like I have to listen, re-listen so I can get the concepts, because I feel like I would understand it quickly, but then I wouldn't be able to put it into my masculine NI. But it's definitely fascinating. Okay, so fantasizing, imagining. I'm sorry, Jose. I just gotta say I'm sorry. Like, I honestly don't know how to not, because it's sometimes so obvious where you're like, okay, the video is literally called "It's Fun to Imagine." Like, what do you want me to do here? No, I could go over that part, but it's like, that's a little too obvious, right? All right. He was talking about when he first went into the dentist, think of something fast to avoid the pain, Anyways, I'm asking him, tell me how it works. So a lot of times what you can do when you're going in for typing, you can set yourself up to be like, what conversation am I listening to? A lot of times I will ask the question as if I'm talking to the person. Hey, tell me how it works. Or tell me how you feel about it, And it's sort of obvious. It's like a joke where you're just like, oh, tell me how you really feel. When somebody's like, they're sharing their emotions. So it's sort of an obvious question when you go in to talk to somebody. But if you can pose those kinds of questions, if you aren't sure, like if you're not sure if it's thinking versus feeling, you could go in and just be like, just explain to me how things work. And then watch the person do it, or watch the person wildly jump around that and only tell you how they feel. So very quickly he's in a dentist chair, and yet now somehow we're talking about a dam and how the water goes over the dam and how that moves a wheel, and now he's talking about how that connects to the motor. So it's a fascinating mind that can go that fast to jump from here to 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 actually be able to connect to something that is familiar so that he can possibly understand it. Okay, see, I'm trying. There's just no way to not talk about it. All right, so he's connecting, the wheel's turning, la la la. It's a phenomenon that he likes to think about. So again, are we talking about somebody who is living in their demon functions, or are we talking about somebody who is living in their savior functions? He looks like a pretty damn happy guy. I mean, he seems. Thank you, Jose. Thank you for the permission. It's pretty obvious. Good. Yeah, and he's simplifying it because he's understanding the parts. A lot of times we know which letter function does that. It's so that they can jump. I want to be able to go from here to here to here to here to here. So I don't just know how it works. I want to be able to understand how it works. So that's kind of what's going on there. And then, okay, now we get started. We're talking about the jiggling. We're talking about the motion. So now that we have defined masculine versus feminine sensory, is he seeing things in a way? I can't even not do it. Is he seeing things? Is he visualizing those things? Or is he feeling them? It's hard if you don't have kinesthetic as your modality to really know like what that thing does all day long. But to kind of get the understanding of it, you can kind of feel it. Like I don't know what this feels like to be able to do this kind of stuff. Like I don't think of things of like, can I smash this? Will it break? Like I don't think of things like that. It's like I don't want to break something. I don't want to push something with my finger. I don't care if something jiggles, if a paper jiggles from a distance away. Why do I need to know that? But of course, it's very fascinating to see somebody else doing that, because you're like, oh, no wonder you had such a brilliant ability to understand what was going on in these kinds of categories because of your ability to master the kinesthetics here. Like this is a lot to be able to go like, here's what the atoms are doing. Here's how they are magnetically doing this. Here's how they push around, and then jumping to another thing and being like, here's how what did he say? The rubber bands. Yeah. Rubber bands. There was a few there that I was like, oh, I wish I could remember long enough to what he's talking about to be able to share those with you. But he's literally understanding things in a way that is the push, the pull, the movement, the banging, like the strength of something. And for me, with my NI, all I can do is root it all the way back to, okay, I guess if you were a caveman needing to throw a spear and hit something, this would be really useful. There's my NT. Okay, if I take a spear and I throw it at a thing and I need to be able to hit it in the space and time, then I can feel that, because I don't have kinesthetic, but it's not last, it's not last for me. So thinking of it in that way, it makes so much more sense why you would be pushing in these kinds of categories. You'd be pushing to go, how does a motor work? This is what I see from a lot of intuitives that have masculine sensory. How does a motor work? I want to know how it spins. I want to know how it smashes. I want to know how it breaks. I want to know how these things clicked together. I want to know that. I want to know how it jiggles. Yes. I want to know how it jiggles. Tiago said, yeah, they jiggle. There you go. Thank you. Just throw some atoms, bro. Yes. Very good. Let me actually make this. Yeah. Okay, good. I want to put this on. You guys are doing good comments today. Thank you. Let me move. They jiggle there. Yes. So that's what you're going to be looking for. It's very difficult because how do you know he's not just talking about the intuitive side? How do you know? Like, why is this not intuition? Why is this not masculine intuition? What would we be seeing? So now let's jump to the opposite side. Let's play devil's advocate. Maybe this actually is a feminine sensory and this is masculine intuition. What would this look like, right? I can't even stop saying it. What would this look like? So I think it would be, first of all, you'd see him actually doing a lot more visualizing. The hand movements are very fascinating. It really is. Now, again, that is anecdotal. You can't take that to the bank, but it is a part of what you're starting to see. When someone has to do the visualizing. They do slow down. They do look up. They are in some kind of world where they're imagining the person doing something. That is definitely going to be a consistent thing that you will see, is the slow down, the looking. But anybody can do that, especially if they're like trying to remember something in a different part of their brain. They're going to look to that different part of their brain to remember that thing, right? That does happen, you know, and or they're creating something. There's different parts where you are looking to be like, hold on a second, let me go search around up there. But when you see the masculine sensories, a lot of times, and this is especially what I will see from masculine sensories, especially the audios. So the double masculines will move whole body a lot, move their head a lot, right? They kind of like swing their head around, whole body, head. The audios, here's how I describe it. And if you've been in the class, you hear me say this all the time. It feels to me, and I call it rapper hands, but it feels to me like they have a basketball, an imaginary basketball in their hands, and they're kind of doing this with it. This is how I see the masculine sensories. They're kind of like playing with this imaginary ball and moving it around. And it feels like they're creating this world in their communication style to let you know how something feels and the weight of it. And I think that that's what's going on with their hands. They're just trying to kind of let you know, like, this thing smashes together like this. This thing feels like that. This thing feels like that. And you're going to see that a lot with this whole kind of hand movement thing. So that is always something to look for, the feminine versus the masculine. But the difference would be, he would be standing on the intuitive points. He would be standing on them. This is where he would be holding true. He'd be like, this is where my memory is coming from. This guy is using the smashing and the jiggling and the movement to hold on to. That's where he's holding on to. That's what he is using to make his point. And a lot of times we say you fight with your masculines. And if he was fighting with his intuition, he would be like, this exact concept. I'm going to just shove this exact concept at you. And that's what you're going to know. That's what you're going to feel from me. I'm going to talk about the fishing of something. I'm going to talk about the fractals of something. I'm going to talk about this thing is conceptually a tree or a leaf. You're going to hear that way more intensely, and they will just stand on and hit by these intuitive patterns. Right now, what we're hearing is a lot of how the things are actually moving and frictioning together. So his points are standing on the actual feel of something. So that's kind of how you know the difference. Okie dokie. I think we could probably go over to the class at this point. I think that's all I got. Let me see if I got anything else here. Discovered. Oh, love the discovery. I guess I could say this. You do hear a little bit of the the fluid talk, and then the little zing, some of the little audio isms there. That is something that you will see as well. Wonderful to think. Yeah, discovered experimentally. That's the most remarkable thing. And history. Okay. All right. I will meet you guys over in the library in the membership. Also, just so you guys know, I do have on the way out here, I'll do my little spiel on the way out here. I have a live show coming up this Sunday at noon Pacific time. And that one is going to be on socials, part 2. This will be the third time that I'm talking about socials. I did Q&As in the membership on socials. I did my very first live show on socials, and we've come all the way back around. Members wanted to hear about it again because we had a lot of new understandings, a lot of updates on it. And there's been a lot of stuff that I've been puzzling for the last month, as well as the members. It was interesting going and seeing the questions that the members had asked. And they were right along. A lot of them were right along with what I've been seeing for the last couple months. So that was really cool. So we'll be talking about socials again on Sunday. And yeah, if you sign up, basically what's going to be happening from me, obviously I'm doing the live today, live on Sunday. And then I have the class for Feynman, where I give his full type. That's going to be coming out Monday night, 7 p.m. Pacific time in the members library. Okay, guys, I will see you over in the membership. Bye. Bye, YouTube. Bye, YouTube. Bye, YouTube.